Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Lounge. I'm your host, Delana Watkins, and today we are welcoming you to another episode. We're going to be talking about self care, being your superpower, or is it? We're going to talk about maybe some do's and some don'ts, how we get it, how we want it, how we don't want it, how we're not getting it, and what we should be doing to embrace self care. So I have two amazing guests that's going to be joining me this evening on the Women's Wellness Lounge. You know, we're the home of the real, the raw, and the relevant. We bring you real conversations, raw stories, and relevant information. And my guests tonight are going to be doing just that. So I'm going to be joined by Miss Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy and Shelley Meche'tte. And she is talking about how we can unlock your happy. So let's bring both of these ladies on tonight so we can get tonight's episode going because I'm just excited as you are. Look at these beautiful ladies. Hey,
Hello,
ladies.
hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
So listen, we all know now. I always say that we don't need a calendar to tell us to do specific things. However, it is good for a calendar or a month or some time frame to remind us of some things, right? So we know September is self-care September. However, we're going to break that thing down and we're going to talk about, because sometimes when we hear things over and over, the repetitiveness sometimes waters down its importance. And we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to start out by, I always do like, what is the Webster dictionary definition of something, right? So when you talk about self-care, I think we hear that a lot now, and sometimes it can be on repeat. So it's almost like that in one ear and out of the other, and does it really stick in between, right? With all of that that's going on. So there was one definition in particular that I found that I was like, okay, now this kind of speaks to where I think for me is what I seek and what I tell people. And it reads, it's the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress, expressing oneself in an essential form of self-care. Now, that definition right there speaks to me. So what do you think about that definition, ladies? What do you think about it? We'll start with you, Joy. What do you think about it really reframing and saying that we're talking about our well-being?
Oh, I mean, I think that's super important. I like the big word for me was active.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times as women, we allow things to happen to us or things just happen where we're not really taking control of it. But if I'm actively doing this, and that means that I have the responsibility, I take control. And that means I'm responsible for the outcome. So it gives me the power to choose what is in my best and what's in my best interest, what's my well-being versus someone telling me this is how you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So it gives me the chance to say, this is what's important to me. And this is how I choose to take care of myself.
Right. And that's how I received it as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Now that I had you just jump right in and share that, now tell the audience why you qualified to tell us that. Speaking of joy, give us a little bit of background and history of what brought you onto the show tonight. And
Absolutely.
Tell us, speaking of
Absolutely.
joy.
Absolutely. So my name is Joy Jackson. I started Speaking of Joy almost 2 years ago. I was a chief strategy officer for an organization, but I always said I was full but not fulfilled. So doing well, 6-figure job, no real major problems, corner office, all the things that we define as success traditionally. But I would go to work every day, was frustrated. And then it finally got to a point where I realized, I want to take control of my life. I want to do what makes me happy and what I enjoy. And so I started this journey, which I've always been on a purpose journey, but I became very intentional about purpose, very intentional about pursuing my purpose. And that's how I started Speaking of Joy. So I started Speaking of Joy for women to unleash the power within and walk in their God-given purpose. So as a personal coach, a purpose coach, and as I do strategic planning too for women in business who are still trying on that journey of purpose, I just take the opportunity to coach women and to walk through the process and to encourage them to really identify their values, their voice, their vision, their valleys and their victories. And then we put a plan together so that they can actually see their purpose come to fruition. So that's what Speaking of Joy is, and that's why we're here today.
Yes, I love that, Joy. Say them B's again. Their vision.
Yes. So we start with, the process we do is we start with values, because values are truly the foundation of anything in your life. So values, vision, victories, voice, and I'm sorry, I messed it up. Hold on, let me do this again. Values. I'm trying to put them in order now. So it's values, voice, valleys, victories, and vision.
There it is. All right, the B's. You have
yes, all the B's.
That big B spot.
That's it. And when you start with one, they build on each other so that you can actually write your vision. So my goal is to see women not only write their vision, but actually walk in it.
I love it. I love it. All right. Now on to you, Miss Shelley Meche'tte. I love that. Meche'tte. So the question first, and then who is Shelley second? So the question was, did you like that definition that really talked about us practicing and taking an active role in practicing one's own well-being and happiness as it relates to self-care?
Absolutely. And I think you just said it perfectly about being active, about you taking that initiative. But what I really loved about that is we take it further because it's about being active about my well-being. It's not just being active about anything. This is specific. This is intentional well-being. We're always talking about our being, pouring into our being. Well, this tells us what our being should be. It should be well, right? Well-being. So what are those things what are those activities that make us well? What are those things that restore? What are those things that rejuvenate? Because every activity does not rejuvenate us.
Absolutely.
And until you know which one pours back into you, you're not serving the well of the well-being.
Ooh, yes.
I like that.
All right. Now, Miss Shelley, you got the spotlight. Tell us who you are and how you.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. My name is Shelley Meche'tte, and I am a certified life purpose and confidence coach, and I am also an international empowerment speaker. I help stay-at-home moms, very busy stay-at-home moms, because who knows a stay-at-home mom that's not busy? But I help stay-at-home moms. I help them successfully balance motherhood and life purpose, life passions without the interference of mom guilt. And I was that mom. So that's how I know that trying to do all of these things and trying to have this plate and trying to add to this plate and trying to look good while you're doing this plate and trying to not ever ask for help because then I feel like a failure with my plate. All of these things led to overwhelm, stress. It led to actually devaluing who I was. We're supposed to believe that the more we take on, the better we are. Superwoman is supposed to be, a high five, a compliment. Superwoman is what's killing us because we're not taking care of our well-being. We're not taking that time to say, what activities restore me? We're not pulling away. We're not saying, I need to get away from my kids. I need to get away from my family because no. Don't you ever say that. This is the life that you wanted. So I was that one who stepped away from corporate to stay at home with my kids. And what I found out is I didn't know my value. I found myself broken down in the mirror doing that ugly cry. I don't know if y'all have done that ugly cry before, but it was that real ugly cry. And why we look at ourselves afterwards, that's a whole nother story. But I found myself doing that ugly cry. But in that is when I actually began to find me. And I start saying, I'm going to pull back these layers. And after I saw those layers and realized there's some residue from some things I haven't dealt with, I took myself on that journey of confronting and allowing those feelings to actually shed off of me. And now with that, my first question was, what was my why? Which is what I ask the women who I work with. I ask them first, tell me about yourself, because we as women, we identify ourselves by titles. And so once we figure out who you are, we're going to go with, what is your why? Because I had to think about that. What's my why for staying at home? And mine doesn't have to be yours. So mine is just as valuable. And that's why we here.
That's what I love. Everything you were saying, I'm over here like in the green room. Check.
Yeah.
All
Absolutely.
of that. And especially that whole superwoman piece of it, right? I remember, I think during Women's History Month, I did a presentation to a group of women. And I said to them, Superwoman, we think of like superheroes. I was like, they're always the one coming in, saving or rescuing or doing 4 or 5 different things. And this is the way we value. I was like, nope, we're about to flip the script and change the narrative on that thing. And let people know that really being a superwoman means that you can ask for help and say, yep, I know how to do that. I have the capability to do it, but I don't have the capacity to do it. Come on, give me a high five. That is
Hello.
what the superwoman
Yes.
today looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is an amazing woman because guess what? I'm not supposed to have the capacity for everything. Everything has bandwidth. And I don't know why we throw that out when it comes to women, when it comes to business women, when it comes to being a mom, when it comes to merging all of those things. Why do we throw that out? Everything has a bandwidth. I'm not supposed to have capacity for everything, or what would be my need for my circle?
Absolutely.
For,
And
you know,
and I think part of our biggest challenge too is we were raised by women who we thought were super women. So
absolutely.
we saw this image of what we thought was a superwoman, but we don't know our mother's stories of why she did what she did. We don't know our grandmother's stories. So we've spent a lot of time replicating this false narrative just because that's what we saw. Oh, my mother was a strong Black woman. Okay,
Yes.
but there was some cracks there. There were some issues there. There were some challenges, and we haven't really been transparent about what those things are, so that we can actually destroy that yoke and bring something new. We're just continuing to perpetuate.
We're just continuing. And then the whole thing is a strong Black woman. It's okay for me to redefine that definition. I'm not that strong Black woman that you want to, put cows and stuff on my back so I could walk the field. You know what I'm saying? That's not a strong Black woman. No. With a broke back. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I'm about redefining. Yes, I am a strong woman, but guess what? Being a strong woman means that I'm independent. Being a strong woman means that I see when my emotions, need some assistance. Being a strong woman means I know how to ask for help. These are my strengths, and we have to stop making it seem like we could be one or the other. Either you strong, or you need help. What you mean?
Come on,
I'm strong, and I want you to bring these groceries in. What you mean?
Listen, my strength is that I need help. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That parallel. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
My strength is that I need help. See,
exactly.
I love that. Now, when we think about self-care, and you all can probably relate to this or maybe have heard it. Most people think of self-care as the massage, the pedicure, getting the nails done, retail therapy, going shopping. I'm not saying that those things aren't valuable and in some way don't lend to your activation of your happiness. I am not saying that at all. However, I think that if we really dig a little bit deeper into that whole definition of the well-being and what it was that I shared with you, it's a little bit beyond that. So let's have a little bit of conversation back and forth about that as well, really looking into not just the superficial parts of what we believe self-care to be. I even have some women who, if I'm out doing those things, because yes, I do go and, get my nails done or my hair or whatever. And there are some women that will be like, yep, this is my self-care, or I did, X, Y, and Z. And I will congratulate them at the same time, but I do, challenge them to dig a little further and just say, what else do you do for yourself as far as self-care? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that, or let's have some dialogue around that. And, either one of you can go, Joy or.
Listen, I'm 100%. I am so over self-care in that sense.
Yeah.
I call getting my nails done, my eyebrows done, all of that. That's maintenance. Yeah. Because that's just how that's what I do. That's what I like to look a certain way. I like to get my, so that's not self-care for me. That's just maintenance. That's just, it's time to get a refill. So I'm going. To me, self-care is really about, first of all, I think part of the challenge, let me back up, is many of us don't know what makes us happy. Yeah. We don't know what rejuvenates us. We don't know what inspires us or feeds our soul. So we've made those superficial things the check boxes for self-care. So the first problem is we have to really begin to understand who we are and where we lack and what things actually motivate us and excite us and encourage us. And that's a journey of self-discovery, because my journey of self-care and someone else's journey of self-care will be totally different. And we could be sitting in the same room experiencing self-care in two totally different ways, because what I need to pull and what I need to make Joy whole is going to be different than anyone else. And so I think that we've got to empower women to do the discovery work on who you are. So for me, I love to read. Reading is self-care for me, but let me be honest, I'm not reading self-help books. I am not
Mm-hmm.
pulling down any book. I'm reading junk to most people, but
Right.
it's an escape for me. It's an
That's
opportunity
right.
to
It's an
sit in my
Exactly.
escape for
quiet.
you. Yeah.
And so,
Yep.
so for me, that's self-care, to be able to carve out 10, 15 minutes
Mm-hmm.
every day to read a book. And
Yep.
so, but that's what makes me happy. That's what I enjoy.
That's right.
I like those things. I'm not going to Starbucks to read because I don't like the noise and I don't drink coffee. So sitting at Starbucks is not self-care for me, reading a book.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really understanding who I am and then
Mm-hmm.
defining self-care in ways, and then realizing it doesn't have to be this grand thing. I don't have to take a trip to have
That part,
self-care.
yes. One, it does
Yep.
not have to be
It doesn't
grand.
have to be
That's
Exactly.
grand.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
really, a healthy woman is a woman who practices
Mhm.
self-care daily. A
Yes.
healthy woman
Mm-hmm.
is a woman who doesn't have to make announcements that I'm caring for myself. It's just a part of my routine in my
Part of the
everyday
routine.
that I'm going to
Yeah.
do something that's only for joy.
That's
Yep.
right. Let me tell you,
Yep.
before I got onto tonight's show, my self-care was I had a jam-packed day today, ladies. And y'all want to know what I did for the last hour and like 15 minutes? I was getting so into it that I was like, oh shoot, I got to get ready for my show tonight. I was sitting outside on my deck full of paint all over the place because I was down there doing some painting, some DIY
Mhm.
projects, getting my
Oh
house
yeah,
ready for the
absolutely.
fall. Had paint everywhere, brown, orange, paint everywhere sitting outside, but that was just bringing me
Mhm.
to a place of
Yes.
peace and happiness. I
Absolutely.
was in my
Mhm.
fun zone, just doing
Absolutely.
that. And like you said, right smack in the middle of the evening.
Yep.
And I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to make
No,
this, grand production out of it. And it brought
absolutely.
me
Mm-hmm.
joy. So now I'm good for for the remainder of the evening.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
What about
Absolutely.
you, Shelley?
Well, I'm just gonna throw the mic at Miss Joy. I'm past dropping the mic. I'm just gonna throw the mic because she's dead on. And what
Yes.
we have to realize, number one, which is something that I had to
Mhm.
realize, even going even deeper to what is it that I enjoy? Who am I? Where is my happy?
Mhm.
Let's take it a step deeper. Again, every self-care activity is not self-care for you. And until you
Right.
understand what emotions line up with which
Mhm.
activity, you're never
Absolutely.
going to have that. I don't even call it self care, it's rejuvenation time,
Right.
it's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
refresher time. What
Absolutely.
refreshes me?
Mhm.
I'm a speaker. So if I'm out all day and I'm speaking all day and I'm pouring out all day and I'm giving all day and people are talking to me all day, going shopping could be something that I love, but
Right.
that's not the refresher for me.
Mhm.
When
That's
we're
good.
looking at self care, what we look at are external activities. And what we're
Mhm.
not looking at is internal refreshers. So
Mhm.
we get our self care mixed up. That's why we're going to get our nails done when we're unhappy and we still come home slamming pots and pans because
And
you didn't
breaking the nail.
understand.
Right.
Hello, and you break a nail and mad, right?
Right.
Because we didn't understand that when
Absolutely.
I'm
Yes.
angry, shopping is not the refresher
Mhm.
that I need. When I'm
Right.
angry, this particular activity is the refresher. Like I said, I speak all the time. And so one of the things I love to do is watch TV. I like to take baths. I like to, read a
Mhm.
book. But I need to understand that when I've poured out all day, all I need is peace and
Absolutely.
quiet. So when
Yes.
I come in, I'm not going to watch TV, even though that's an activity that is a refresher for me. It's
Right.
not the refresher for when I pour out. Silence and move away from me
Mhm.
is the refresher.
Is the
And my
difference.
family knows this. So when
Mhm.
I'm done speaking, if I've been out all day, if I've been doing stuff, they know that when I get into the car, when we all get into our, nobody is talking to Shelley. Nobody have anything because
Right.
they know,
That's it.
she been out
Mhm.
there giving for 4 or 5 hours. Don't say nothing.
Right.
Yeah, no,
Let her
that's
have her time
Let her have her time.
absolutely.
She
No,
needs
that's
to
that
good.
refresh.
refresh. Absolutely. I love both of those responses.
Mhm.
They were so right on, Joy. And to your point, and like Shelley said, handing the mic to you, you got to know what makes you
Absolutely.
what
Absolutely.
refreshes
Absolutely.
you is not
Absolutely.
Hmm.
going to be what refreshes the person or the woman to your left or to your right.
Absolutely.
So I want to take a second to say welcome to those of you who are just joining us this evening. I see Miss Lynn we have on here. She's like, yes, break it down. And
Mhm.
Felicia, thank you both for joining us live. Drop in the comments, what do you ladies like to do for self-care? And again, self-care, it's just one of those words I think that's easy to identify and to
Hmm.
digest. What brings you joy? What makes you happy?
Yes.
I just told you guys,
Absolutely.
I spent probably an hour and some change outside.
Mhm.
My husband was gone. You know, I had the house to myself. It was a beautiful breeze outside. I went outside, took my little paint, and was out there just painting some stuff. And I was like happy as a pig in mud, feeling good
Yeah,
because my day was
absolutely.
taken care of.
Exactly.
So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you know, what makes you happy? Yeah, and again, it doesn't have to cost a lot. Doesn't have to be this big production. Drop it in the comments. Let me know, what do you ladies like to do that can bring you happiness and activate that feeling in you that I am refreshed. I am full of joy. No pun intended for you, Joy.
I've heard them all. So yeah.
Right? No pun intended for you, Joy. All right. So this next part of what I want us to talk about really has to do with what not to do. So we talked a lot about the things that we should do, how we can activate our well-being and our happiness. Let's kind of put a little spin on it and talk about maybe some things that we shouldn't do, or those things that likely don't bring us joy or happiness, or maybe it's short-lived, or it's for the interim, or it's reactive, or it's not, self-serving, or whatever. What are some things that that come to mind just as I'm describing that either of you can share or shine some light on, that we tend to do that definitely isn't serving us in the role of activating our happiness, or bringing us joy, or some recharging and refreshing in us?
Well, I think that one of the things that we shouldn't do is to stop discovering, because
Mhm.
we have a life cycle and we have a life season. And so the things that I enjoyed 3 months ago, a year ago, it's okay for me to change those things. Sometimes we feel like, I used to love amusement parks, and if I don't like amusement parks anymore, it's a problem. No, we're constantly in discovery. So the one thing that you don't want to do is put yourself in a box and say, this is something that I always loved, and it's something that I have to continue to love. No, we're continuing to evolve. Don't limit yourself. Try different things. Go out there. This is life. Life is a journey. A lot of times we don't know what we enjoy because we haven't taken time to spend time with ourselves. How do you know you don't like lima beans? You never tried them. But there are things in life that we go, hey, let me step out and let me see if this fits me. There's nothing wrong with that. You can take a chance on that. We shouldn't get connected in our mind as far as thinking, I'm this age, or I'm this, or I'm this that. So this is what I compare myself to. Remember, yours belongs to you. Mine belongs to me. So continue the self discovery. Never stop the self discovery. Never stop finding out who you are, and never stop doing something new. Don't
Absolutely.
stop those things.
That's good.
I
That's
love that.
good.
That's good. Now I'm gonna toss the mic over to you, Joy. What are some things that
Listen,
we should not do?
mine is gonna seem real simple, but let me tell you. Stop looking at other people's self-care and
Yep.
doing it.
Yes,
I am so
that's
over
important.
hashtag self-care, hashtag loving myself. And now I'm looking at what women are doing on social media, because they've taken a trip by themselves that, oh my gosh, that's the definition of self-care for me. So now I have to do that. Or I'm looking at a group of girlfriends who had brunch, a Sunday fun day, and now I'm looking at that saying, that's what I have to do. So stop trying to make your self-care fit into what everybody else is doing. You find what's authentic and genuine to you, and you don't have to explain it to anybody. You don't have to post it to share with anybody. Because I
Yep.
believe if you got time to stop and tell me you're doing self-care, we're missing the mark. Because you can't rejuvenate yourself if you're posting and telling me about your rejuvenation. So for me, I need you to be present in the moment that you're in. But
That's good. That's good right there.
but that's true. And it's, you're showing me your plate, and you're showing me your, it's, so for me, it's stop expecting the world to
Yes.
co-sign that you're in the self-care
Mhm.
space. Because
Ouch,
you want
Joy,
the
get
approval
off them
of
people
it.
toes.
You want people to say, oh yeah, she's taking care of herself because she's done this. So just let all of that go and be in the moment for yourself. Because
Yes.
you're
Yeah.
the one that needs the healing. You're the one that needs the
Absolutely.
refreshing, the rejuvenation. But you can't do that if you're waiting for the likes or the high fives or the comments from people to validate
Yeah.
that you're in the space of helping yourself, because really the comparison, all of that really hurts more than it helps anyway.
Absolutely. And we're in such a social society.
Mhm.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'll take a picture of my plate every blue moon because it just looks so good.
Right.
But I am in such agreement with that. While I'm out enjoying, my pedicure, I'm not videoing the pedicure because then I'm
I
not
know
enjoying
it.
the
That's
pedicure.
my
You know,
amen to the people in the back.
right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if I do happen to take a picture, because I take that picture and put my phone down and lay back, and maybe
That's
2 days
exactly.
later I will post that picture and say, had a wonderful day, 2 days
Mhm,
ago, blah 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 blah
mhm,
blah. Because I am, and I believe that that's the part that we miss.
mhm.
Self in the self-care, because we're such a society where you need to know everything I'm doing at the moment. I'm doing it
Exactly.
right now. And again, hey, share your moments. But like I said, I'm that one where I enjoy being in that
Mhm,
time. And my pictures and things are usually for my memories. I do a
mhm.
lot of things with my girls, and
Right.
so they're great memories for us. And that brings me great joy also to be able to go back and look at the
Mhm.
times, things that we share. But I think if we got that point that Joy is talking about, that when we're constantly
Mhm.
sharing the self-care moments, we've taken the self out
Yeah,
of the care.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, she was stepping on some toes
She
and
she did look.
messing up
She,
some
look,
pedicure
it
with
wasn't
that whole
mine.
thing. But that was just, ooh, that was so on
Yeah,
point.
that
Mm.
was good.
Yeah, that was real good, because I think
Hmm.
we have, like you said, Shelley, become this very social
Absolutely.
society that if it's somewhere it's not identified, bookmarked, shared,
Hmm.
validated, affirmed, and to let yep, I'm doing self-care and this
Absolutely.
is how
Yes,
I do it and
Absolutely.
I can do it.
yes.
So yes.
And
But
it's
So
yet,
it's
when you
nothing
leave, you
wrong with
still
that.
upset.
And it's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that. It's nothing
Right.
wrong, because I don't want anybody to say, "Oh my God, that
Oh
woman." No,
yeah.
no, no.
Right.
It's nothing wrong. But what it is the motivation. So it goes back to Shelley's why. So why are
Hmm.
you posting? So
Hmm.
even if, and that's with any post, I believe, be intentional about anything that you're showing up as, whether
Right.
it's putting on makeup. Why am I putting on makeup today? Am I putting
Mhm.
on makeup because I just want to enhance my beauty, or am I trying to
Hmm.
cover scars? Because those are two different
Right.
motivations. I'll apply
Yep.
my makeup in two different ways based on those types of things. So it's
Right.
really about understanding who you are and your why. Because
Yes.
if
Mhm.
I'm in self-care, it may be, today I'm going to go take 20 pictures and post them all because I just think the sunset is beautiful. That's a
Hmm.
different experience for posting in a self-care moment, because I love taking pictures of sunsets versus I just want to show you me in the sunset. Me,
Right. Yeah.
when I'm doing that.
and,
But
and
what's
you
the
and you know what,
motivation?
Joy? If that's your motivation, be honest about it. You know what I'm saying?
Amen. Yes,
If
yes,
that's
yes.
your motivation, that I just want you to see me,
Yeah.
because and there are people, unfortunately, you just
Yeah.
haven't gotten to that point yet where
Mhm.
I can and I'm fine, or I don't have to and I'm fine. But
Right.
that's where we have to go back to being honest with who you are. Am
Absolutely.
am I showing this because there are broken pieces and I need
Mhm.
somebody to be my glue right now?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
Mm-hmm.
if
Yes, I
that's the
agree.
truth, let that be the truth. And
Yes.
then work on that behind the scene. But
Absolutely.
again, what's the motivation?
Yeah. Yeah. And
We
I like
don't know,
that.
especially now. We don't
And
know
that
our
goes back to
motivation
the
now.
discovery.
No.
Yep. They both of you guys hit it on the head. And you talked about the discovery, and then Shelley, you about what's the motivation. So I think
Hmm.
if we start with that, the discovery of the why, then it'll lead us to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some excellent comments. Shaniqua, hey sis, talking about yes, say that, queen. She's like, yeah, we are all in it as well. So giving us all the hand claps and the love, her and Lynn. Both. So thank you so much, ladies, for joining us live. So I want to take this opportunity before we wrap up this amazing episode tonight to really just give you both the opportunity to share one compelling piece of information. And it can be around self-care. It can just be around, women really walking in their purpose and their passion, unlocking their joy and their happiness in such a very, what I always refer to as just a fast-paced world that does not always give us permission to do so. So give us just just one quick tip around that, or just leave us with something. And so I'll start with you, Joy.
Okay. What I would say to any woman who's watching this is you own it. You own your decisions, you own your experiences. And when you truly understand the power of owning, then you can view life differently. You can move differently. So own who you are, own your mistakes, own your struggles, own your beauty, own your imperfections. And by own, I mean just acknowledge that you're a human being, flawed and beautiful all at the same time. And when you own those things, then you walk different, because nobody can talk about you or tell you or define you for yourself, because you do it. So just own it. Own who you are, own what you believe, and just begin to walk in that ownness and that newness and the refreshing of being a total person. That's it.
I love that. And I was on there trying to put your website on there, and I had the wrong letter in your name. And
That's
I
okay.
was
It's Joye.
Joye. I had a U instead of a Y. So let me correct that.
Listen, ladies, you can find me anywhere. Joy, Joye. That's where I am.
Is.
There you go. Thank
Joy.
you.
So that is her website. Make sure
Yes.
that you visit her website and find out how you can work with. Speaking of Joy, she's going to help you find your sweet V spot.
There, I like that.
She shared that on the first part of tonight's episode. So if you don't know what that means, you're going to have to go back and rewatch it, or go hit up Joy on her website and find out what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Thank you.
So next up, we have Miss Shelley Meche'tte.
Yes, I think the thing that I would want to leave the audience with and leave women with is a sentence that you get to fill in, that you get to create, that you get to empower. And that is, I am. Who are you? Wake up every day in the morning looking at that woman and say, I am. And even if it's only one thing that you could fill that with, fill it with it. Start filling your confidence bucket. I am kind, because sometimes we can't look at ourselves yet and say, I am gorgeous. My eyes are this, my eyes are that. Start where you are. I am. I am an amazing cook. I am an organized woman. I am going to walk in happiness today. I am going to discover what my happiness is. Don't make it big. I am love. I give love. So that would be my thing for us to really begin, because we'll never walk in who we are. We'll never walk in purpose. We'll never discover our passions until we realize that we are worthy of everything that God has created us to be. And that starts with us being able to look in the mirror and say, I am. And in that sentence with powerful pieces of you. And with that, you'll be able to begin to get the courage to start uncovering other pieces of you. So I encourage you to do that. Wake up every day, look in that mirror, create your scenario for that day with your I am statement.
Yes, I am. And I love it. Shelley Meche'tte, I have your website up as well. Ladies, again, if you want more information and you want to get in contact with Shelley, there is her website displayed there on the screen. Make sure you follow up with her, and you can find her on social media as well. Listen, ladies, it has been another amazing show. You all came and brought it, just like I knew you would for our self-care September. Listen, we knocked out all the myths, all the unbelief, all the misunderstandings as it relates to self-care. And I wanted you guys to help me with that, and you did just that. And I appreciate you both for
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes.
You are welcome. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining me for tonight's episode of the Women's Wellness Lounge. I'm your host, Delana Watkins. If you missed the first part of tonight's episode, all you need to do when we end tonight's episode is just watch the replay, or you can subscribe. Go on to YouTube to Women's Wellness Lounge. We also, this episode airs 24 hours after we go live on Roku, so you can go there and watch it as well. I hope that you learned something new or enhanced something that you thought you knew from watching tonight's episode. Make sure you tune in again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, Stay well. Make sure that you go to my website, womenswellnesslounge.org, to volunteer, donate, or support one of my programs. Or if you're looking for a speaker, go to DelenaWatkins.com. And I look forward to hearing from you soon.